The stay-at-home order is over, so we are now on step 0 of the first of 4 steps on our 3-step plan to reopen the province.
What?
Wait, it won't be completely open after step 4, which is called step 3. So we will need to think at least another step, but don't think about that now. The government isn't. As for the difference between stay at home and step 0, well, technically now it is not illegal to leave your home anymore, although it was never enforced. So the main change will be, instead of the government asking us to stay at home, the government will ask us to stay safe.
This is the online trainer show, trainer show, trainer show. This is the online trainer show.
We shouldn't have a podcast.
Early in the step. That's all I'm going to say.
You're outside my circle of trust, sir. I'm going to repeat that, Jonathan. I'm going to literally, Jonathan, we're just starting the podcast. We have some talk before we get started, but can you just repeat what you, some chatter. There's some talk show chatter. Can you just say what you said about, I'm not even going to say anything. Just repeat what you said.
Oh, all I said is that if you're the type of person who wears a Gildan t-shirt and Fruit of the Loom underwear, you are not the type of person for me. That's all I'm saying.
You're outside of the circle of trust. We don't need you. No, absolutely. You know, put that for the OTA students and grads out there. Put that on your application, please. You don't want to go training people who wear Gildan t-shirts or Fruit of the Loom. So when you send out your survey, is blank and blank in your price range? What's your overall goal? Like somewhere in there, do you happen to own any Gildan t-shirts on purpose?
Are you a tidy whitey guy?
Right.
Or do you own any Gildan t-shirts?
Do your dingy white drawers have fruits on the inside other than the fruits that you've deposited? If so, go back to the top of this application and delete your name and press the send button. Change the email address to your own email address and send that crap to yourself, son. I can't work with you. Now if you have Gildan t-shirts by accident, I'm willing to allow that. Like, you just happen to get invited to like your sweetie's family reunion cookout, and they gave you a shirt after you got a hamburger.
You signed up for a credit card at a
absolutely,
because you had a couple beers.
Absolutely,
I get it.
Credit card that flies all like any day and twice on Sunday. We can allow the credit, but if you literally went either onto Al Gore's internet, or you went to a physical location, saw a t-shirt that was shaped like a square, looked in and the rough tag that's going to itch your neck for the next 20 years because they last forever. That tag said Gildan. You cannot sit with us. You can't hang with the online training show. We don't need your listenership.
I try really hard not to judge anybody and to accept everybody.
This is my sentiment also, Jonathan.
Well, this is what I mean. Everybody's accepted. You can be black, you can be white, you can be
anybody.
Chinese. It doesn't matter as long as you don't wear Gildan t-shirt. If like any race in the world and not wear Gildan t-shirts,
not wear a Gildan t-shirt. That's where we draw the line. For me, that's when the rifle comes out. Like I can't be on my property in a Gildan t-shirt. Somebody tried to sell me a Gildan.
What were you doing on Tuesday?
On Tuesday, I was actually I was in Philadelphia. Sporting about the city, being awesome. I had visited my cousin Pamela.
Pamela, how's she doing?
Yeah, she's doing awesome. I've had some legendary adventures with cousin Pam a couple of years ago. We went into the city. Yeah, went in the city with cousin Pam, and she says, we're going to drive from Jersey to Philly today.
I have done that drive.
Yeah, she said we're gonna take the kids, and when I say kids, I mean her 21-year-old, soon to be college educated daughter Kira, and her 17-year-old, soon to be college student Mia, who are effectively my baby cousins.
Right.
That next cousin down the line thing, it gets weird because they want to sort of call you uncle, but you're not there. Yeah, it's weird. Anyway,
Allison's got cousins who are older than her.
Yeah. I mean, well, we all have.
She's got nieces and nephews that are older than her.
Right. Yeah. It gets weird. Once you get past like immediate family, let's just be frank. All family gets weird after that. Like it's not you deal with it. Then
once you get into Asians, the actual age just doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You're basically frozen in time until you're 65. At which point, overnight, you shrink 4 inches. That's basically what happens.
This is fair. This is actually not stereotyping. He's just stating facts.
No.
So I went there, ran the Rocky Steps. That was exciting. Not ever
great picture.
Yeah, great picture. So I got a picture with the Rocky Balboa statue. And then, then I got to race Cousin Pam, who's pushing 60. I mean, Cousin Pam, she's no spring chicken. Yeah, neither am I. But she's avid. Pam. Yeah, you know how Pam is. She's an avid runner. Pam's got the spirit of Catalina in her. Like she's like just youthful exuberance. Yeah, probably so. It is equal parts invigorating and concerning. I'll be honest there, Keto.
So the story's dragging on a little bit. So you were with Pam. Is what happened.
You could have cut my own story. How you asked me to tell my story and then cut it short?
I expected it was going to be like, I was with Pam and I went to Rocky Steps when we went to Philly.
Oh, okay.
Let's move on and talk about you, John, because you're the center of attention.
You thought it'd be more interesting than what it is. I saw the Liberty Bell. That was exciting. Smaller than I thought.
Is it though? Is it?
It's not. Well, it's like I felt very Nicolas Cage-ish. Like I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence. Like that's how I felt in Philly.
It's like at the end of the day, it's like it's a bell. So there's like a little crack in it,
So here's the thing I found out. Here's the thing I found out about Philly, and I apologize to all the Philadelphia women. Everything seems smaller than what you imagine. The Liberty Bell, it's not quite as big. It's not a huge bell. The Independence Hall, where the first Congress ever was, relatively small room. Maybe the people were smaller then. I don't know. What else did I see? Rocky statue paid off. The steps at the
much protein back then.
There's probably a lack of protein in Philadelphia. They were probably running rampant with scurvy, like Catalina's kids.
Well, that's it. So yes, I was just going to say, basically, scurvy has just been eliminated from the planet since then, other than Barrie, Ontario.
Yeah, other than Ontario. In Catalina and her rage against citrus fruits.
It must be really nice though, Ren, to be able to, I don't know, leave your home.
Yeah, feel? It's like it's sort of like if you want to learn how to train clients responsibly and profitably online.
Yeah, tell me about that. Yeah,
and if you perhaps certified online trainer through the Online Trainer Academy, onlinetrainer.com/OTA. Like a person like that could probably do something similar to what I did, and play hooky from the podcast for the first time in those 110 episodes.
Unacceptable. Never happening again. You're not allowed.
It's like Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
So I follow the Ontario Reddit. Just because it's funny to see what people are saying about
and you should.
It's such nonsense at this point. And so there was an announcement yesterday that things are starting to open up. So here's Reddit's explanation of this.
Clear it out.
Just get this cleared out. Just a reminder, the stay-at-home order is over, so we are now on step 0 of the first of 4 steps on our 3-step plan to reopen the province.
What?
Wait, it won't be completely open after step 4, which is called step 3. So we will need to think at least another step, but don't think about that now. The government isn't. As for the difference between stay at home and step 0, well, technically now it is not illegal to leave your home anymore, although it was never enforced. So the main change will be, instead of the government asking us to stay at home, the government will ask us to stay safe. I hope that this clears up any possible confusion. That's basically Ontario right now.
Is the Ontario subreddit doing I don't know, in Canada, do you guys have counties? Like something similar to counties?
Not really. I mean, we have towns, obviously. We have got like towns that like more than a couple people live in, like Toronto, and then we have like tiny little like farmer townships like Barrie, Ontario. But like other than that, not really.
Oh, so there's a really popular like Reddit game that's happening right now in all of these like town or state type subreddits where they're doing rounds of deletions and trying to get it down to the only county, like the best county in the state or whatever.
Oh, that's funny.
It's hysterical and it gets nasty. Ren, if you check out your state subreddit, I bet you they're doing it. It's hysterical.
That's pretty funny.
You said it gets nasty. Like, doesn't Reddit start off nasty? Like, when is Reddit?
That's the culture of Reddit.
Right. That's what it's for. I've never known it to not be nasty. So, Keto, I missed whatever you talked about on Tuesday because, again, I was dodging you people like the plague, trying to live my best life without considering.
It was rough.
Yeah,
It was. I mean, of course, my contributions to the show were amazing. Of course.
Absolutely,
you know that.
absolutely.
But above
you did well,
all,
Kara.
like right now, I just want to focus like on my new bookshelf.
Okay, that's very nice book. Let's see what book do you have there on the shelf, Carolina?
The only book that I have set up in my shelf ever is Dying Life. It's Atomic Habits.
I think that's the 6 millionth copy sold. You should be giving a Facebook cover update here soon, any second now.
This is going to be my background for now on the podcast. I'm going to troll Jonathan every single day with a copy of the best book ever written right there. Now, here's the funny thing. Here's the really funny part. My whole vibe for my office is like white and gold. And what color is the cover of Atomic Habits? White and gold. Thank you.
Color.
It was meant to be. It was
Perfect
meant to
color.
be.
So here's the thing, though, is we have to be careful because eventually John is going to get us back. You know this, right? So, like,
he's going to have revenge. Yes.
Eventually, just quietly, in like 10 years, something awful is going to be
terrible.
That's what's most concerning. His revenge patience is what concerns me the most.
Oh, yeah.
Because I never know what, I'll probably be 85 on my deathbed and, sit on a whoopee cushion and Jonathan runs in, I got you. So I'm concerned.
That might happen. What most likely will happen is I just care so little.
You'll just forget we exist. You'll forget
probably so minimal. Such a minimal part of his existence that he just disregards it.
Relevant to me.
Before he gets in fairness, I've done no trolling. I've done talking, but no legit trolling. That's Keto. That's the women. So
we're petty like that.
Yeah, you ladies are going to get what you deserve. Also, Amber posted something about Joe Brown 2020, who we have not mentioned in 2021, and we just did. So we'll move on from that subject now.
That's good. Do you have a reviewer that we can review at the end of this episode, Amber? Okay, why don't you?
I'll look.
Yeah, why don't you go get a review and we'll review them at the end. But let's talk first about how
we can play a game whether it's a real review or not.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about the topic at hand, which is social media, which is
Jonathan hates
evil and makes you feel horrible about yourself. Let's talk about what to do and how to use it if you don't like it. And I mean, I very much go back and forth on it. Right now, I'm definitely in a phase where I think that it is basically the definition of all of the worst things about our society. Kind of coalesces into to social media. And so I try to stay away from it as much as I possibly can, which is why you don't see my personal Instagram being too active, because I just straight up just don't want to go near that.
Right.
Hit. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear from you guys, like what to do. I guess the corollary to this is like, what do you do if you don't have like teams of people to do it for you?
Right.
Right. Because, I mean, a PTDC social media, again, it's not very good, but like it still has stuff posted on it.
Yes.
Is still active. And I mean, I haven't logged in there for probably 2 years. So I don't even know what goes on there. I try to avoid looking at it.
Yeah, that's not surprising to any. Like this,
Yeah.
this isn't a revelation for anyone on the show, John. or
So you guys talk about it. Basically everything that I'm going to say here is that, like, if you are listening to this episode because you don't like social media, but you understand that you have to use it in some respect, I'm going to just commiserate with you here. And just, that's basically what I'm doing.
Yeah, John, you just keep the complaints coming. Make sure we don't feel too good about anything that we say on this episode. And,
what you say, I think that there's a lot of good things that you can do, even though you don't really want to be too active on it.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We haven't seen how the episode pans out yet, so let's not get too jumpy.
You guys do stuff.
Keto hates it. You know, she barely ever puts any bikini pics on social media. I think
the season.
Yeah. Today, wasn't your post today of the flowers and the flower dress?
Yes.
Epic.
I
so
love
epic,
that.
Carolina. That photo was beautiful.
I know. Wasn't it like whimsical? Like I felt magical.
Oh,
and then
it
the
took
filters
me
and
back.
the effect.
It took me back to a simpler time when things were lighter, when things were more beautiful, where it felt like there was more, I don't know, je ne sais quoi color in this world.
I'm so thankful to hear you say that, because that's what I was going for with me, yearningly looking away into, into the sky. So I'm glad
that I can picture when I looked at that photo was imagining the literal mayor of the town standing behind the camera as you're trying to get the best pose for that goddamn Instagram photo.
He was in a meeting. I was using my tripod. You guys, whoever you are, if you're doing social media, you need a tripod, because no matter how good your partner or your person or your significant other thinks they want to be with a camera, they're just not. You know exactly what you need, and a tripod will not argue with you. So just buy that damn tripod. It's way easier, and it'll save your relationship. Yeah, it'll save your relationship. There's my tip for you today. Buy the tripod.
When you're ready, I have a review to share.
Oh yeah, let's actually talk about the topic a little bit first. No, let's do the topic. Let's do the topic a little bit.
You say so.
We'll review afterwards.
Yeah, what we learned so far is that your significant elected official is not good enough to take pictures for you. Get a tripod. That's your first key to social media. And Catalina, I can say that your post just pushed my business to another level. Once I read the insight there, I was like, these are the tips that I needed to break through a business barrier. So I get this is where the idea was born, and it's my idea if the show turns out to be good. But if it's not, Amber came up with it. But here's where the idea was born. We sometimes get coaches in the academy, the online trainer academy, through the mentorship program that will say something like, "Oh, I know I got to do social media, bro, but Earl, I hate that social media, man. I hate it so much." Well, yeah, you got to do something. I just can't stand to get on that thing at all, brother. I don't know why it's turned into a wrestler impersonation, but apparently I'm talking to Hulk Hogan during the day when I'm doing coaching calls.
He's a chain smoker too.
Right, he's a chain smoker too. So I get on that social media, brother, and I just don't know what to do. My mind's running wild, brother. There's your Hulk Hogan impersonation for the day. So, but the reality is everybody doesn't love it. And to a certain extent, and I think Jonathan talked about this on a previous podcast, we're not all starting at the same place. Like, you can't come in day one as an Online Trainer Academy student and who does not really do social media and feel like the tactics that you use are going to work the same as it's going to work for Catalina, who's been on social media, who enjoys posting and engaging with people. You're just not starting at the same place. That's fair. I think we can all admit that. That's fair to say. We're not all starting in the same place. I was fortunate enough to have, 3,000 people follow me for fitness content a year before I became a personal trainer, because I did it as a hobby, right? Literally at my mother's bedside, I was like, well, I got nothing to do while I'm at the hospital, and a friend was like, hey, you should start a fitness page. So I said I was an enthusiast, started a page called I Got a Fitness Jones, which later turned into Fitness Jones Training. It is funny. But after a year of doing that, I had like 4,000 people who were literally coming there to ask me questions about fitness. So you're not going to start at the same place. But what's actionable here if you hate it? I think that the first thing is to minimize it to one platform. Can we agree on that as a group of pretty well informed? You don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to employ the Gary Vaynerchuk mentality of, oh, you got to get on Twitter and tweet about your TikTok posts and take your TikTok posts over to Reels and do an IGTV about how you shot the TikTok posts and then take it over to LinkedIn and get a job. Like, you don't have to do all of that in the course of the day. So I'll go to Keto here because she's taking a fabulous picture today in what is probably going to be a series of photographs throughout the summer. I don't know how many you have backlogged at this point, Keto, but I'm sure they're just waiting to be delivered to social media. Various pastels and amazing floral prints, bikinis, and booty shorts, everything.
She has a very distinct color palette.
It's very distinct. It's always pastels. It's a nice pastel, and that's what I enjoy about Keto so much. Her color coding. So, was there an initial favorite social media place for you, Keto, when you started with your business?
Yes. So I definitely started on Facebook, just like most other people, because there's where all my friends were. When Instagram came into the mix, I was actually, it took me a while to get on Instagram because I was like, ugh. And here's the thing, because I think a lot of trainers are going to relate to what I'm about to say. The biggest problem for me is the learning curve, the process of learning how the thing works. I hate it. And it frustrates me so much. Once I get the hang of it, I'm like, hell yeah. And I love Instagram because it's fun, right? Because now I get it. But the learning curve is so frustrating. It effectively keeps me out of the game of trying it for a while because it's so frustrating. Now, having said that, this topic comes at a very timely moment for me because actually today, that picture that Ren keeps mentioning is I'm starting to experiment some new strategies on my Instagram because now, just for the fun of it, there's no end game. Just for the fun of it, for the experimentation and to see what happens as a challenge to myself, I'm going to try to grow that Instagram account. And I'm going to be trying some very specific strategies there to see kind of like what works and what doesn't. And so I'm already facing that frustration again because now I'm switching over to a business profile, which has different kind of like modalities from the personal stuff. And so I'm having to relearn where to find things and how to make things work. So I'm sure that I'm going to have some more insights to share in the next few weeks, depending on how that stuff starts going on for me. But anyway, if you hate social media, it might be that you're like me and you hate the process of having to learn how to work it effectively.
Absolutely. So we're all enthralled about your insights that are coming in the next several weeks, Catalina. I can't tell you how exciting the threat of that sound. I don't know if it's promise or threat. I don't know which one. I can't differentiate. But so basically what you're saying is it's okay to be on one platform and get it down, and then maybe you can move on to another platform. So for the haters out there of social media like Jonathan, stick to one platform first. Like, you don't have to be everywhere. And is it safe to say, I'm going to ask Jonathan a question here, which I promised myself I wouldn't do before this started. Yeah. Is it safe to say, Jonathan, that if you already have a network, just go ahead and build out of that network from the start? Like, is that the best place to start?
What do you mean if you already have a network? Like, you're already on social media?
So I got, on social media. The whole episode's about social media, Jonathan. Jeez. Why would I be not asking about social media? So if you've got a network on social media, is it best to stick with where you have a network first? Does that make sense? Start there.
I am taken aback by the disrespect.
The audacity.
Away with that right there.
I am flabbergasted.
It gets the ratings up.
By...
It's what Lithuania likes from us. They like the push and pull They like the contrast of our personalities. This is why we're big in Lithuania, but it's also why we're hated in Canada. Because I'm not nearly passive aggressive enough. They do not like us in Canada. So
You
Jonathan,
have to be passive aggressive in Canada.
right.
We secretly think that we're better than the world, but we don't actually say it out loud to anybody. We just show it quietly.
Yeah.
It's implied.
We quietly nod at each other on the street. We're like, yeah, we're better than everybody else. Yep.
We know that you have to put our flag on your backpack when you travel to pretend that you're us. Like
so the waiters don't spit in your food. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I ain't putting no American flag on the back of it. I can guarantee you that. Hey, facts. And you are better than us. I mean, nobody's disputing that. Like, it's not like you're wrong. So Jonathan, is it safe to start where I am? I have a network in this place. Can I just go ahead and start there? Or do I need
the first thing? I mean, yes, it's definitely safe to start where you are. If you aren't anywhere, then it's safe to pick somewhere where you think that the medium might actually go towards your skills. Like,
right.
Do you have a face for radio? Great. Do a podcast.
Is that why we're here? I didn't know this. I'm here because I have a face for radio.
In aggregate, we are 4 very good-looking podcasters. Like, podcasting is kind of made for people who don't look so good. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are actually, I think, far too good-looking for this platform.
the upper echelon. It's 1%ers of podcasting faces. And I've been getting regular dentist. Add some value.
I'm gonna add some value.
Put some value on it. What kind of value?
Put some value on that hot dog. So, where do you start? You start with the platform you already have. You've probably been building a bit of a network of people who just kind of know you. Like, especially if you're interested in something, you've kind of been talking about it. You've kind of consciously been building connections to people who are already interested in that thing. That's not to be downplayed. That's your starting point, and that's actually a really powerful starting point. Start there because you have it. Take whatever advantage. This market is so hard to start with. Like, don't make it harder by not taking advantage of all of the stuff you've already done, of the advantages you already have. But then don't worry too much on numbers. I think that gets people down a lot of the time. Yeah. Like, converting people from social media doesn't require you to have big numbers, particularly to start. And there are great examples of people who really don't have big numbers that make a lot of money in social media. One of our guys just messaged me. He's doing $70,000 a month now. You won't find him on social media, like 500 Facebook friends, right? Now, he's been doing this for a couple of years, and the reason that he was able to grow so much in the last year and a half, 2 years, is because we helped him on his sales and conversions and packages. But the reality of it is, those are the skills that really actually matter on social media. It's less about being a content producer, and I think what's perhaps important to differentiate is there are people whose business is producing content. Somebody, and they're very, very different skill sets, and they're oftentimes 2 different people. And that's what's interesting that's emerging here is naturally the fitness industry is kind of splitting people up into what they're good at. Somebody who's really, really good at creating content is probably not somebody who ever coaches anybody. Right. And their job is to produce the fitness content. And it's really interesting to understand that when you look at these people, because that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be a content producer like that. That's a totally different skill set, and you should enter it in comparing it to those people. Like we keep saying in this podcast, understand what game you're playing, right? And play your game better than anybody else. Don't try to play somebody else's game, and you'll do well. And so figure out when you're going into social media, okay, well, like, I don't need to play a content production game, which means, and the reason why this is very, very important is okay, well, then who do you listen to? What advice do you follow? What do you not follow, which is what you don't listen to often is far more important, and what you don't do and what you don't pay attention to often is far more important than you do. It's the famous story of the dog in the nighttime, for anybody who knows the Sherlock Holmes story, where Sherlock Holmes was solving a mystery, and he goes to, I think it was, what's his sidekick, Watson?
Yeah, Watson. Watson.
So he goes to Watson. He says, I might have the names wrong, the specifics wrong, but he basically says, did the dog bark when the person came? Well, no, the dog didn't bark. Okay, then I know who was the criminal. Because if the dog didn't bark, it meant that the dog knew the person who was breaking into the house. Mm-hmm. And you can look it up. It's a phenomenon. It's literally called the curious instinct of the dog.
Well, I love that.
And it's a really great, I can't remember what the psychological phenomenon is actually called, but basically we pay way more attention to things that are said and clues given to us by actions that are said than we do by clues given to us by things that are not said and not done. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes it's the things not said and not done that teach us way more than the things that are. And this is really important with your businesses. When you know what game you're playing, when you know what you want to achieve with whatever your platform is, like if you don't want to become an influencer, don't listen to people who train you to become an influencer.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because that's not what you want. And all of a sudden the advice that you're listening to is the wrong advice. And you would be better not listening to it. You would be better not paying attention to it and figuring out who are the experts in the field for the successes that you actually want to achieve and the type of thing that you want to do. I think that's the most important way I kind of got there eventually.
So the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying yes for 30 minutes, John. So it was impactful and insightful. So here's my second thing. Know your audience. Like if you know your audience, you can get away with a lot less movement, right? The analogy, it's analogy time. The analogy that I use, analogy time. So the analogy I use with the coaches is, go from machine gun turret operator to sniper, right? Like you don't have to blast social media with all this ammunition in terms of content. If you know your audience really well, kind of don't have to post more than once a day. And you might be able to get away with posting once every other day. If the content resonates specifically enough with your target audience, you don't need quite as much frequency to make your point, to carve out your space, because you're only talking to those people. Yeah, I mean it's reasonable. It's plausible. But I've done it.
You're not talking completely out of your ass.
Yeah, not completely, just partially. More side ass.
I love that analogy, though. Again, run with the analogies. Don't be a machine gun. Be a sniper.
Be a sniper, man. And I'll come back to you again, kiddo. Which I can't believe I'm doing this.
A better analogy is a buckshot versus a sniper.
I guess so, Jonathan. If you got to.
Nobody knows what a buckshot is. I don't know what that is.
It's a shotgun. It goes everywhere.
Country people know. Amber and I know what buckshot is.
Americans.
Yeah.
You know who knows about guns? Americans know about guns.
Americanos.
We don't know about guns.
No idea.
Yeah. You know exactly what buckshot is. Amber and I are actually having buckshot for lunch after this podcast. So how familiar we are with it. But Keto, one thing I know about you, and again, I don't intentionally ask you to speak twice every podcast. I'm a bit frightened now. So I feel like we've used everything else. I don't want to tap the resource too much. But you have a very specific audience. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And do you generally target like power lifters, or or sprinters or marathoners? Like Or
Yes.
you sort of target women that want to be badass in their clothes, like and perhaps out of their clothes. Bow, bow, bow.
Right. Yeah. I mean, between that and the Scottish Highlander themes, like my target audience.
The Scottish Highland. There can be only one, Keto. The only one Highlander. So, but in all seriousness, you've been very diligent about speaking only to your market.
To what I know, yes.
Yes. So would you say that you can post less because you're very specifically? Well, first of all, you're going to post when you feel like it. We know that from previous episodes of the show. Like you're not feeling it, it's not happening.
Kara's going to do what Kara feels like doing.
That's what she's going to do. That's what she's going to do. It's like
right.
what does a very Ontarian Mexican do? Whatever she wants. So but do you feel like your frequency of posting doesn't matter as much because you are specifically talking to a narrow demographic?
Yes, that is true. And what is also true and will probably be more interesting to people listening is that even though my social media following is nowhere near like the numbers of, I don't know, influencers, whatever, like my social media following is very, very small, very reduced. And even with that, I am able to like release something into the world and know that I'm going to make the money that I'm wanting to make.
Right.
And that is awesome because again, it's not about number of followers. It's about the quality of followers that you have. The people so I've been lucky and lucky, I mean, I've just been relentless about sticking to what I know and speaking about what I'm comfortable with. And that tends to bring in the women that I work with, who
right.
in turn into paying clients.
How many shots did it take you to get the triceps to focus so much on that photo,
picture
Kara?
was actually the first shot, and I was trying something new with it was the very first shot.
Oh, very
I
nice.
did other extra ones to kind of like test it out, but the first shot was the one that I ended up using because
Very
I liked
good.
it the most. So there we go.
I love the phrase too. I love the caption. Live life in full bloom.
Yeah, it's very, very, very poignant.
I'm like I don't know. I'm borderline a Disney princess. That's
so,
like between that and the random bunny faces and squirrel tails. Like I must be a low key Disney princess.
Pretty much.
Original Disney. That was the dark version of all these stories.
Yeah.
I'm a Disney princess in the park.
So that's another book. Catalina Belmares, The Dark Side of Disney. So for the folks listening to the podcast, you've just missed 5 minutes worth of visual aid again. But ultimately what we found is that you're probably able to get away with a little bit less frequency for those of you that hate social media. If you can dial in a little bit more to exactly who you're talking to. So there's another key. The third thing I'd like to bring up as we wrap up the show, Jonathan, is something that you've mentioned here more than once. And I shudder to think that I have to close out a podcast episode by coming to you for insight, Jonathan, because who knows what travel story will result in this over the next 25 minutes before we get a definitive answer.
Pictures of Calvin.
Do what you got to do, Jonathan.
Look at this helicopter.
It's a lovely helicopter, and he looks very. I don't know what the face is there. It's like he's not sure if he did a great job or not, but he put in the work. That's what I'm getting from that picture. So, Jonathan, one thing.
Remember, we got to do the review.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we got to review the review. Let's do that first.
No,
Sarah,
we gotta,
what Wen wants me to do anyway.
Get the last value out of it. So, third thing is creating a franchise. Create a franchise. So you don't have to create something every single day. In my case, I have a Wonderful Women Wednesday, so I'm not creating content on Wednesdays. I know I'm going to post the same thing. I'm going to feature somebody. I have Throwback Thursday. I easily go back and get a previous post and just slap it up there. I'm done for Thursday's content. Friday, I always do the TGIF post. Thank God I'm fit. And I always do Friday Tea, where I let a little bit of a snark out in terms of our business. So if you create a few franchises, things that repeat in your social media, I fundamentally only end up creating content for Monday and Tuesday, if you really think about it. Because Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I have franchises that repeat. So I don't have to think very much about it. That's another great tip if you hate going to social media to create. as I understand it, there's a review. Now that I've skated through. Yeah. Is it from Joe Brown 2020?
It is not. The signature just says AV.
What's the signature? What's the name?
It just says AV. So it's actually from YouTube, based off of, or it's from episode 95. So where we're talking about
YouTube comment. Oh, this is going to be dangerous.
Yeah, I know. How to build an online business when you're tech illiterate was the episode. The comment was, I think I like the tired, sick Jonathan better. Provides some good value early in the podcast.
Translation, when Jonathan's sick, he rambles less.
Translation, I wish ill health on Jonathan Goodman, AV. Jesus, man.
That's dark.
You're going to come at me. If you're going to come at me, use your real name, okay?
Maybe his name is Av. Could be short for Avery. Sick John and Petty Carroll are two of my favorites to co-host here with on the podcast. Like I get so much joy from sick and or sleep deprived John and Petty and or Disney Princess Keto. My favorite co-stars when they're just in their regular selves. I got to be honest, I don't like showing up. Yeah, it's a way. It's a drain.
Imagine if we did just like a pure value podcast like everybody else does. Like what AV wants is like, oh, when John's sick, he actually gives value and doesn't joke around. It's like, can you imagine if we did that? It's like
that would not be
all right. Well, maybe you'd actually learn something.
I cannot picture this.
How terrible. Yeah.
I don't think he's excited about the value as much as he's excited that you're sick. That's what I took from it.
How do you know it's a he?
I don't think that he, she, it, or they derive as much value from your providing information as they are that they just like for you to be infirmed. Wishing ill health upon you, Jonathan.
Maybe AV is gender fluid.
Could be.
Could be.
I got low and break fluid one time.
Don't judge.
I
do wish you ill health, though, AV.
Oh my gosh.
To you.
In return.
I don't know what gender pronoun you prefer, but I wish ill health on you because you wished ill health on me.
And
I hope that you also get told that you do a better job when you feel terrible too. I hope that you
a pox on your house.
I show up to work every single day, usually late, and put in give or take 15 to 20%
minimal amount of effort
given day. And you know what? I want some goddamn respect.
That's not too much to ask for.
That's too much to ask for my partially present minimal amount of effort. I just can't get a little respect.
The best was yesterday. I showed up to the office. It was like 9:59 a.m.
That's 10.
To the office, and I went to Bobby. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. Like we had just like a harder time getting Calvin out the door. Like we got late. She's like, this is when you usually show up.
What changed? This is always the case.
You're actually a minute earlier than normal.
Oh, it's funny, isn't it?
Normally it's 10 when you get here. So this has been another spectacular. Are we done? Are we done here? Are we done? Are we finished?
Yeah, I'm gonna check my my investments.
Yeah, check on your Bitcoin, Jonathan, and your AMC stock.
AMC's been pushing it.
Oh, is it? I'm going to go to the movie theater this weekend just to push your profits up a little bit.
You don't need to. It has nothing to do with actual tangible value. It's utter nonsense what's going on in the stock market right now. It has absolutely no logical rhyme or reason. You should see the discussions I'm having with my stockbroker who is somebody, he's my financial advisor. He's somebody I've been with for a lot of years. He's great. We've got a great relationship. He's done really well with me, but he understands financial markets. And as a result, this is complete and utter sheer idiocy too.
Right,
everything that's happening in the world right now. And I kind of get that too, but I don't understand how to actually value companies as much as he does.
Right.
And it's just like I get it, like it just like doesn't compute. It's like we're literally fabricating tremendous amounts of value.
I love it.
Absolutely no reason. Then just a bunch of people can now collaborate together and say that we want to pretend that this thing is worth something.
Let's decide. Let's decide it's valuable.
Unreal.
I feel like people are doing the same thing about this podcast. There's no actual reason.
Exciting that the thing has some
that it's
value.
good. Like every time somebody says this is good, oh, I love you on a podcast, I'm always like, why? You know, like, do you not listen to it?
I'm surprised to notice people who watch or listen to podcasts on YouTube. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me either, especially this one. You know, so in any case, show notes, it's been a while since I've done this. Show notes can be found at onlinetrainer.com/podcast. And send those reviews in. And Joe Brown 2020, if you're out there, toss us another review, man. We've done like 100 episodes. We haven't heard from you, bud. Like you don't know nobody no more. You too big for us now, Joe? That's what's up. That's what's going on in the streets, son.
Next time we hear from him, it's going to have to be Joe Brown 2022.
Yeah, right. Gosh.
He'll probably go by Joseph at that point.
Maturing. Our audience maturing.
Oh my gosh. And yet we do not. Great episode of the podcast, if that's what you want to call this.
Jingle me timbers.
Jingle. Jingle, jingle.
Jingle me timbers.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show.
We shouldn't have a podcast.